Welcome to another live stream, guys. Bitcoin has been under some relentless selling pressure recently, with bears seemingly in total control of the trend. There is some potential signs of life, but realistically, the bulls have a lot of work to do at this point. So I want to take a look at a few important levels on my radar across a few different time frames. Also want to take a look at a few altcoins, Ethereum and Solana in particular. As I mentioned, basically a couple of buy zones in my Telegram just a couple of days ago, which are holding out so far, just to show you there. So if you want more examples, how I pull fibs, how I look at market structure and so on, you know what to do. Scan the QR code on my screen. And yeah, my partners at BloFin still also currently have this deposit bonus promo running for my followers for a couple more days. So if that interests you, time is running out there. But yeah, guys, like I said, Bitcoin, all in all, it has been in a nasty downtrend. And you guys know I love using the MDX Trendmaster indicator for spotting a trend and basically which way these signals are trending, right? I like to play the trend if we have sell signals trending to the downside. I like trading buy signals if they're trending to the upside. And I mean, at this point, you guys, basically since where would we have printed that? Around 104.5 thousand US dollars, we have been trending lower sell signals on this indicator. So we got over an $11,000 move to the downside from that. So absolutely huge when this indicator starts printing a trend like this. Now, I did mention there is some signs of life, and that is basically, it's a reach. But as far as any signs of hope on the lower time frames, basically looking at this trend master for an early reversal warning here that we do at least have a higher buy signal. We do. I don't want to get too excited because we have conflicting stories. We are still printing lower sell signals. That has not changed yet. We're very close right now, but it hasn't changed yet. And like I said, we have higher buy signals. So the indicators basically giving conflicting stories at this point, but what a beautiful trend that was. I mean, every buy signal was just printing lower buy signals. So they're fighting the trend. So they did actually get some nice little reversals temporarily, but the trend still stuck to the downside. None of those levels getting invalidated. The level for that currently would be approximately $96,500 approximately. That would put us just above this most recent lower sell signal on the trend. So again, just one sign of life here that I do see. First of all, that higher buy signal, and also that our lower trending sell signals are getting a lot tighter. Right before we were getting these large moves off of them, and now we're just kind of trading sideways. Now, to be honest, I don't know if that is a little bit of an early warning sign that we are forming some sort of a rounding bottom, or it's also very possible that we just have a lack in volatility because it's Saturday. It's low volume weekend trading right now. And so often recently we've seen Saturdays basically trading sideways. So, I mean, at this point, we kind of have to see what ends up happening. I would say more important than this 5-minute trend. I mean, that's the thing, guys, right? This 5-minute trend has not broken in over $10,000 to the downside. It's been an absolutely devastating trend for Bitcoin. And, but that being said, more importantly, I would be looking at structure on the 4-hour. The 4-hour has actually had very clean structure as well. Now, this is a lot of people feel differently about this, what I'm about to say, but this downtrend was very healthy price action. Ever since our big capitulation event there that we had about 4 weeks ago, the market structure itself has actually been very beautiful as long as you don't have a bias which direction you're trading. We have just been setting lower lows and lower highs. Yes, we've been getting these smaller ranges inside our bigger ranges. But at the end of the day, basically since actually it was this level here was our confirmed higher low on the trend. And since losing that, we are just printing lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, confirming lower highs all along the trend. So far, it's actually very clean as far as a downtrend goes. Yeah, we all wish it was going to the upside instead, but it's very clean structure. And now it's getting very tight like this just because since we broke some of those major swing levels. Now we just have, I'm basically following micro market structure at this point. So a lot of people are asking for downside targets, much like I see in the chat right now. And honestly, I don't really have a downside target right now. I more so am waiting to see when the downside momentum breaks, basically. So at this point, even on this, just this micro swing, we keep treating it as microstructure now that we have broke the bigger structure, right? But basically we're still setting lower lows and confirming lower highs. So our lower high on this trend at this point is still sitting at around 97,400 US dollars, just because with our microstructure here, this would have been our low, lower low, lower high on the trend. I understand it's very micro, but just looking at very basic market structure, the bulls need to reclaim that 97.4K at least if they want any signs of any kind of momentum. Even if we got a pullback there, at least I'd be more interested in taking a long off support, even if some sort of a hedge at that point. But at least we would have some sort of structure backing that up. Whereas right now, everybody calling that the bottom is in every time we go to the upside for a few hours, there is literally nothing on the 4-hour chart suggesting that the bottom has to be in. If, like I said, if we end up breaking this level and then see some sort of a pullback or just start staircasing higher, right? There's a few different ways this could go. One, break structure and retest. Another would just be break structure and continue staircasing to the upside. And then eventually, if you break that trend, then you can assume that you're going to come back and retest the whole thing. But it really depends how structure forms from here. As it stands right now, I'm just still favoring the downside until that changes, basically. And another big concern I have is, obviously, I've been talking about it for a while now. And guys, those of you who do appreciate that I've been keeping such a level head and talking, basically warning us to keep our emotions at bay and warning at the very real possibility of the price totally collapsing. If you appreciate me taking a level-headed approach at all of this, make sure you do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not, because not too many other channels out there, you guys, that were prepared for this type of downside price action. And I was basically warning about it since about 4 or 5 weeks ago when we lost this order block here. I started to get very serious concerns on the trend and the fact that that order block flipped from support into resistance and pushed us below our horizontal support as well as our diagonal support. This is on the weekly time frame, so I look at the logarithmic chart just so I can keep entire market cycles in it and that sort of thing. But when I'm looking at the macro time frame, I look at the log scale, and this is a very clean trend line that did end up breaking, and that's over a year, well, basically a year and a half of data there. And again, losing the weekly horizontal level even more so, and losing that order block. There's just so many red flags there. Just as a bias check, I know I brought this up the last stream, but let's invert that chart completely. And how do you feel about this chart? Honestly, the fact of having this order block, breaking the downward trend line, breaking the lower high on the trend, right? If I was looking at this as a basic structure break, that would be my low, lower low, confirmed lower high, and we've smashed that, right? So looking at this from an opposite point of view, even if this ended up pulling back, I would still be looking at this bullishly, basically, even if we get some sort of a pullback. Much like right now, even I'm not saying that we can't bounce, because I mean, market cycles, this is a weekly chart, right? It's not going to go straight to the downside. But even if it ends up bouncing and retesting old support as new resistance, I would still be very bearish on that, even if we end up getting a bounce. But I'd be more so looking at shorting that new resistance rather than FOMOing long into it, basically. But yeah, that doesn't look great. As well, I want to bring up the weekly chart on not the logarithmic chart, right? Just on the regular type of chart here, and notice where we are right now. I mean, we still have more than a full day ahead of us, so we could still end up closing our candle body above this trend line. But this is another reason why I have concerns about this. This is the weekly chart, and those are very exact touch points. Our third try here, we're going to see if we end up closing below that. Just don't be too surprised if we end up flipping that old support into new resistance again, right? After this candle closes, this is all very theoretical, but let's just say that the candle closes down here. I would not be surprised to see our next weekly candle open tomorrow kind of go up here, retest that level, and then get rejected. I think it's very likely we would see something like that, but we'll have to see how this weekly candle closes first before that. Looking at the 4-hour chart, again, you guys bringing up the trend master here. Again, just pointing out the trend of this indicator, right? This is something that I've been talking about for, I mean, I think over a month now at this point. Just taking its time to load, but I was talking it in many streams ahead of time, you guys. Even back at these levels here above $110,000, I was talking about the MDX Trendmaster pointing out lower buy signals on the 4-hour, followed by a lower sell signal. And I was taking that warning quite serious. And the fact that even right now, if we do get a little bit of a bounce, just understand that we have resistance again, right? Indicator resistance basically lining up with this resistance up here, which also just kind of lines up with this structure back here, this old support as well. So just a lot of resistance above us, even, you know, up to around 100,000. That's actually about 100.7 thousand US dollars. There is resistance all the way up there. So again, no matter what happens, I'm not opposed to the idea of seeing a bounce in the market, especially if we can reclaim that 97.4K, like I said. But overall, I have very serious concerns about the trend of this market, you guys. That being said, I did promise you some good news as well. I mentioned that I had been talking about some buy levels on some altcoins in the Telegram channel there. So Ethereum is one that we did, you know, just pointing out this STUBER fib setup. We never did end up hitting my lower entries in my green box yet. We still could, who knows? But basically just looking at this for basic market structure, right? Just looking at a pullback to that 786,886 and lower. So just a level of interest to me that if the market is going to see some sort of a bounce, and also just how I feel about altcoins versus Bitcoin right now. Even if Bitcoin has topped and forms a nasty downtrend, when Bitcoin does get its little bounces, I would expect altcoins, even in the final phase of the market cycle, to get much more aggressive bounces, basically. So that's why I'm more interested in playing longs on altcoins at this point. Not saying that they have to work out, and I'm not saying to just YOLO long at any time because alt season's right around the corner. Nothing like that. Just as far as actual trade setups that I see show up, I'm more interested in altcoins right now, whereas Bitcoin, I'm more interested in looking for those short opportunities still. Solana was the other one that we are trading right in my actual swing fail pocket, so in my green box, and I pointed that out as well, like I had said just a couple of days ago. And yeah, so far that support is holding, but just looking at it from a risk reward perspective, again, you guys know how bearish I am on the market right now and have been for quite some time here. But, you know, a buy level is a buy level, and I would rather be longing and buying potential support levels rather than FOMOing short into it. Now, I will say the fact that we're even down in this green box, that's a bearish signal to me, to be honest. But the fact is that it's still a buy level looking for those short-term bounce opportunities, because if we end up bouncing from here, I mean, we could bounce all the way to some of my STUBER targets up here, or all the way to the top of the range, or even, you know what, maybe we do go parabolic, whatever. Then at least I have a beautiful entry with a running position if that happens. But just looking at it for a buy level for what it is. So just, you know, trading against my own emotions that the market is bearish right now, and taking a trade setup as they come. So zooming into the 5-minute, there is also this potential little triangle. Kind of looks like we're losing it and going back into it. So, I mean, I don't typically play breakout patterns all too often, but it is something that did kind of shape up here that's already in the horizontal buy level that I was looking at in my green box. So I actually have a couple more entries a little bit lower, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. Aster, I still have 40% of that running position from nailing the bottom down there. So again, just leaving part of it run in case that turns into a beautiful runner. I'm not married to this as in having, you know, being super bullish on Aster or anything like that. It was just specifically, again, buying from my buy level in my green pocket, just like what I was just talking about with Solana. This is literally that same setup where we had this kind of a setup, right? And the green box is the 1 to the 115. Just like I had on Solana. Not saying it has to play out the same, but that's just how I look at my buy levels, basically. So this one played out well. I'm still hoping that it turns into a runner and continues moving to the upside. But if it gets stopped at break even with the rest of the position, so be it. I just want to let the runners run if they can. How are you all doing in the chat? Once again, guys, if you do appreciate these live streams, keeping a level head, just me showing some of my personal trade strategies, how I look at market structure, all that sort of stuff. If you do appreciate it, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already. Black Friday on BTC. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's a good buy the dip opportunity. That's the thing, right? Like I treated my investing and my trading very differently. So yeah, some of my shorting profits I have been DCAing into some random things. Can we double check the scenario where BTC could drop to 45K? Not everyone wants to see that, but yes, absolutely. I will bring that up. Again, guys, not saying this has to happen, but saying that anything is possible. So really zooming out, I went over this last stream, but yeah, it is a good point that bringing up the liquidations indicator, right? Because everyone was saying that that 4 weeks ago or whatever, that big capitulation event that we had, everyone's saying that that was the same thing as COVID. It's not even close. At COVID, we actually came down and Bitcoin hit the liquidation band indicator and found support. The liquidation band indicator, hence a liquidation event. Whereas currently that liquidation band is down around 38,000. Bitcoin is literally $60,000 away from having the same type of liquidation event. Altcoins was very different. Yes, I will say altcoins got absolutely smashed during that event. But as far as Bitcoin itself, not even close to a liquidation event yet. So yeah, absolutely possible that we could drop towards 40K. But guys, I want to be clear about this before you think that I'm crazy and you think that all Stu's absolutely nuts. Understand that that's not like I'm saying, oh, next week that's happening. That is saying only very specifically if we end up going into a bear market. And I would say that would probably take 11 to 12 months to play out. But also on top of that, do we have market structure that lines up with that? That is currently where my STUBER fib pocket is. The 786 is literally right at that liquidation level. And you guys know that I treat market structure the same, whether it's the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the hourly, 4 hourly, daily, weekly, whatever. I treat market structure the same. So as far as looking at each market cycle as its own real large swing, its multi-year swing, yeah, it makes sense that we pull back to that level because every other single market cycle has done that. Not saying it has to happen, but it is something that's worth mentioning that, yeah, worst case scenario, I shouldn't even say worst case because worst case, anything can happen. But realistically, yeah, if we do start some sort of a bear market here, and that's a very big if, but if we do, it would make sense to, yeah, drop down possibly below $50,000. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's true. I'm not saying that we are going there, but is it possible? Absolutely. And people new to crypto, and if this is your first cycle, it's easy to believe those posts about, oh, this cycle's different, there's bigger money, that can't happen again. Every cycle has exponentially larger players getting into the space, and there's way more money in every market cycle. So every market cycle being different that way is actually the same, and you need that for market cycles to act the same. So at this point, I would expect this market cycle to play the same. But obviously fractals don't have to. They don't have to continue repeating, the fact that we lost macro structure right at our 152-week time frame that I was talking about that we got with our last two cycles. Those things can all be invalidated. They just haven't yet. What percentage do I take on my take profits? Usually at my first fib target, I'll take a quarter. My second fib target, I'll take a quarter. Then I'll let half my position run risk-free usually. Tau, this is one that I was looking at just the other day. The 4 hour doesn't look great. It did actually, unlike Bitcoin, it did get a little bit above its micro lower high, right? Just treating this as our low, micro lower high. We did at least get above that level. So it's at least some sort of a sign of strength. But again, we have the MDX Trendmaster on the 4 hour. The sell signal, although it is a higher one, it pushed us. We invalidated the higher buy signal. So that's a big warning that we may have lost our uptrend there. And to see that we have this resistance of this indicator up a little bit, I have my concerns about that one. Zcash as well. This one is risky no matter how you look at it, because at this point, the uptrend, I mean, guys, this one had such momentum to the upside. It did technically lose this structure, where this is basically where we got our last push to the upside to new highs there. Since we ended up losing this level, that trend is broken. So it's very possible that it ends up, just this was a fake out, it goes higher and the trend just continues, because this thing has been an absolute monster on this uptrend. However, just understand that we are currently basically trading at resistance, right? After breaking that bullish structure, we pulled back to the 786, 886 fib pocket, and currently starting to struggle a little bit there. So to invalidate that, the price basically needs to get above 100 or 810 US dollars, because we still have this swing failure resistance zone up here. But again, it's high risk no matter how you look at it. At this point, if you're taking a long, you are longing into resistance. If you are shorting, although it is resistance, you're betting against a very aggressive trend. So that's a risky one. As far as meme coins that I'm willing to buy, even if we go into a bear market, you guys know I've been accumulating troll. I mean, I was buying down under a cent in its very early days and caught very nice gains, but I've been accumulating again on this way down, mostly throwing shorting profits into it. Currently trading at an order block that pushed us through our previous all-time highs before it went parabolic on a 25x there. So I'm hopeful that this support will end up holding. But again, meme coins, low cap meme coins, this thing has a $38 million market cap. Very high risk, guys. That's just for the people who kind of know what they're doing with altcoins and understand that it is exactly a casino, basically 100% gambling. So anyways, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today, just kind of putting some levels on your radar and that sort of thing. So one last time, if you appreciate these live streams, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And for those of you interested in learning more and seeing more examples of some of my favorite trading strategies, some of my personal setups, just how I like to pull Fibonacci's, how I look at market structure, my overall thoughts on the market in general, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code, get into the Telegram channel by click either scanning the QR code or clicking the link in the description down below. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.